When it comes to eating, I feel like we think we're forced to choose between healthy or affordable. And the truth is, lots of times eating healthy usually means you're spending more money. But today I'm going to share with you my secrets for eating on a budget. Roll the footage. It's just going to be more me talking, so just roll that. All right, my very first tip is to eat at home more often. I feel like eating out a lot throughout the week has kind of become the norm, but in general, eating out is always going to be more expensive and very often a lot less healthy. The way that things are cooked at restaurants are usually cooked in a much less healthy way than if you were to cook it yourself at home. All right, let's talk about shopping for produce. I say avoid any of the pre-cut, pre-chopped produce. They are going to charge you more money for the convenience of having it chopped. Not to mention that I find the pre-cut stuff usually doesn't last as long. Like the shelf life inside of my refrigerator only lasts for a few days before it goes bad, so I'm more likely to food waste if I buy the pre-cut stuff, or if I just buy the whole fruit or vegetable and I wait until I'm ready to eat it, to chop it up, it lasts a lot longer and it saves me money. On the topic of produce, obviously nice, fresh, local produce is always a nice, healthy option. I try to fill my cart with a ton of it, but it can be pricey, so my tip here is to try to shop for your produce in season. Fruits and veggies are always going to be less costly when they are in season, so trying to shop with the seasons will help save you money on your produce bill. I'm actually going to put a link in the description box down below to a reference of what produce is in season when to sort of help you when you're shopping. A simple trick for shopping for healthier foods is to avoid the inner aisles of your grocery store and just shop around the outer edges. The outer edges is where things like your produce, your meats, your dairies are going to be. The inner aisles is usually where the less healthy foods are. So when I'm shopping, I do not go down every aisle. I only go down an aisle if there's something down there that I know that I need. This not only helps me make sure I'm filling my cart with more healthy options, but it also helps me avoid overspending, because by going down every single aisle, I might end up with extra stuff in my basket that I didn't actually need. You know what I'm talking about, like you see ice cream flavored Oreos and you're like, that sounds like something I need to try. And then you're putting oat milk into your cart because you heard somebody on Instagram talk about it and you decided that sounded delicious and you needed to try it, or for whatever. I'm gonna be honest, I did buy oat milk because I saw somebody talking about it on Instagram, and it is really delicious in iced tea. So I mean, you win some, you lose some. My next tip is to plan out your meals ahead of time. I plan out my meals for the entire week, so when I go to the grocery store, this helps me avoid overspending, and it also helps me prevent food waste. Before shopping, I plan out my meals so I have an exact list of the items I need to buy. I can also make sure that if I'm buying something for one meal, I can incorporate it into another meal so I don't waste any of the food. For example, if one of the meals I'm eating this week calls for spinach, but I know I'm not going to use the entire bag of spinach, I will purposely plan another meal that week that will use the rest of that bag of spinach. My next tip is to learn how to read the price tags when you're grocery shopping. Lots of times something will appear to be a better deal, but sometimes it's actually a smaller quantity, so it's not a better deal. Always divide the cost by the units to make sure you are getting the best price on that item. When you're shopping, the bulk bins can often be the best deal out there. I find for things like nuts and seeds and often dried fruit, you're going to get a better deal buying from the bulk bins than you would be if you bought those pre-packaged. Now, occasionally there are some things from bulk bins that aren't better deals. I find like usually granolas and rices are not always a better deal. So sometimes you are going to have to divide the units by the cost, but in general, these bulk bins can be a really great deal, so definitely don't skip over them when you shop. My next tip is that name brands do not always mean that they're going to be better. I feel like sometimes when we're trying to eat healthier, we can get caught up in trying to buy the name brands or something that claims it's organic. Very often, just a quick comparison of the ingredients will show you that the store brand generic one is exactly the same as the name brand that claims to be organic and all natural and has like a panda hugging the world on the cover. They're usually the same, and they are going to save you anywhere from 5 to 25%. My next tip goes off of obviously planning for your meals, but this is always shopping with a list. You want to go into your grocery store with a very specific list of what you need. This is going to help you avoid obviously buying junk and stuff you don't need that's not on your list, but it's also going to help you avoid overspending and buying more things than you need. Whenever my husband and I end up in the grocery store without a list, we always end up with a grocery bill that is way more expensive than it usually is, and we usually end up with way more stuff than we really needed, and we usually end up with like some of those unhealthy bad options because we just got excited and we grabbed stuff we didn't need. My next tip is to consider replacing some of your expensive meats with other proteins. Now, I'm personally not a big meat eater. I actually was a vegetarian for 13 years. I would say probably 75% of my diet is sort of plant-based. In general, lots of meats can be very expensive when you're looking at like porks and steaks and what have you. I have found a lot of really healthy protein options that aren't meat-based. Things like eggs and legumes and even more affordable meat options like chicken is going to give you the protein that you need, but it's not as expensive. My last tip is don't be afraid to stock up on things when they're on sale and then freeze them or store them away. When grocery stores run certain sales, you can save a ton of money. And for a while, I would kind of avoid these stock up and save deals because it's just my husband and I at home and we wouldn't be able to eat all of it. But I've learned that I can save a lot of money if I take advantage of these sales and I save the items for later. So I will portion them out and I will freeze them. All right, my friends, that does it. Those are just my basics, very simple tips for how I eat healthy, but I don't overspend on my grocery bill. If you're curious about my own healthy eating, I have an entire video about my healthy eating habits. I will link that down below. It is the healthy eating habits that I adopted after college. Helped me lose 30 pounds, maintain that weight loss, and just really live a much healthier life with what I eat. So I will link that down below. But as always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day, and I will see you all in my next video.